I took a solo trip into the woods last fall. It wasn't some deep survivalist thing, just me, a 3-day weekend, and a trail I'd been wanting to hike for a while in North Georgia. I left my car at the base parking lot around noon on Friday and hiked 6 miles to a clearing I found on all trails. No one else around, no signal, just the steady rhythm of boots on dirt, the rustle of leaves, and my thoughts finally slowing down. It felt perfect. Too perfect, looking back. By sundown, I had the tent up and a fire going. I laid back on a small foam mat, stared up at the stars through the mesh ceiling of my tent, and let the fire crackle me into calm. I didn't even listen to music, just the natural quiet of the woods. But sometime around 1:30 a.m., I woke up. At first, I wasn't sure why. Then I heard it. Crunch. Crunch. Not an animal. Too heavy. 2 distinct footsteps. And then silence. My body went stiff. My breath caught. I waited. Nothing. I slowly unzipped the tent window just a bit and peeked out. Dark. Dead silent. Eventually, I convinced myself it was a deer or bear, maybe stepped on a branch. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, my ears working overtime. After a while, I drifted off. The next morning, I found boot prints. Human. Not mine. They circled my tent once, then disappeared into the woods behind me. That should have been enough for me to pack up and leave, but I didn't. I told myself it was probably a hunter or lost hiker. That night, I double-checked the perimeter, moved a few sticks around my tent so I'd hear if someone stepped on them, kept a pocket knife under my pillow. By midnight, I'd finally relaxed enough to fall asleep. I woke up to the sound of my tent zipper slowly being undone. Zip, zip. Not fast, not a mistake. Slow, careful, deliberate. I froze. I didn't breathe. My eyes locked on the flap of the tent above me. Then it stopped. No movement. No sound. I could feel the weight of someone's presence just outside. Like they were leaning in, watching, waiting. I whispered, "I have a knife." Still nothing. I yelled louder, "I'm armed. Get the hell out of here." A second later, fast footsteps, crunching, running off into the trees. I waited 5 minutes before I even sat up. I packed my bag in under 3 minutes, fire still smoldering. I didn't care. I ran the trail the whole way back to my car. When I finally reached the lot, my car was the only one there. No ranger, no hikers, no other campers, just me and the woods. I got in, locked the doors, and drove straight home. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the footsteps, the zipper, the silence. Something kept gnawing at me. So I pulled out my phone and zoomed in on one of the photos I'd taken of my tent site earlier that day, before I found the boot prints. In the background, almost hidden in the tree line, there was a person, standing, watching. I never saw them in real life, but they saw me. Last fall, 2 of my buddies, Kyle and Jordan, and I went on a weekend camping trip in northern Michigan. We found this spot off an old logging road about 6 miles into the woods. No marked trail, no cell service, just dense forest, a wide, slow-moving river, and nothing else for miles. It was perfect. The first night was exactly what we wanted. Fire, beer, music, stupid jokes. We stayed up until after midnight, then passed out in our tents. But the second night was different. Around 11 p.m., the fire had burned low and we were all quiet, half asleep in our sleeping bags, when Kyle whispered from his tent, "Hey, do you guys see that?" I sat up and looked across the river. A light. A flashlight. It was flickering in and out of the trees on the opposite bank, like someone pacing back and forth. But we hadn't seen a single person since we got there. Jordan leaned out of his tent, squinting. Could be a ranger. But no one answered when we called out. The light stopped moving. Then it turned off. The woods went completely still. Jordan got nervous. That's not right. No one should be out here. But Kyle, who's always trying to act brave, grabbed his jacket and said, "I'm gonna go check it out. Probably just some drunk dude lost in the woods." Before we could stop him, he was already heading down the slope toward the river. He crossed at the narrowest point, where some rocks poked above the surface, and disappeared into the tree line. We waited. 2 minutes passed. Then 5. No flashlight, no noise, just silence. I was about to shout when we suddenly heard crashing branches, fast footsteps pounding through the brush, and Kyle burst out of the trees, soaked and wide-eyed, scrambling back across the rocks. "Pack your shit," he yelled. "Now! We're not staying here." We didn't ask questions. We grabbed our stuff, stuffed what we could into our bags, and ran. We hiked the full 6 miles out in the dark, only stopping when we hit the road. Kyle wouldn't say a word the entire way back. It wasn't until the next morning that he finally told us. He said when he crossed the river, he didn't see a tent or a fire or anyone walking around, but the flashlight was there, lying on the ground, still on, but flickering. He called out, but no one answered. Then he heard something behind him. Not footsteps, breathing. Heavy, fast breathing, like someone was hiding just out of sight, watching him. He didn't wait around to find out who. None of us have been camping since. We've been out there 2 nights already, just 4 friends unwinding deep in the woods. No phones, no people, just our tents, the trees, and a campfire we kept burning from dusk till past midnight. It was the kind of trip where nothing really happens, and that's the point. That night, we were all sitting around the fire, sharing stories and knocking back beers. The mood was light, quiet. Jake was telling some dumb story about high school when we heard the sound of twigs snapping. Not from behind us, but straight ahead, just beyond the tree line. We froze. Our heads turned in sync. The fire crackled behind us, but we couldn't see anything in the dark. Then, out of nowhere, a voice said, "Evening, fellas." We jumped. A man stepped into view, maybe mid-40s, beard patchy, clothes dusty. Looked like he hadn't showered in a week. His jeans were damp at the bottom, like he'd walked through something. And his face, his smile was too wide, too forced. "Didn't mean to startle you," he said, eyes darting between each of us. "Didn't know anyone else was out here." Nobody answered at first. Jake gave a polite nod. "All good, man. Just hanging out." The guy inched closer to the fire. We could see him better now. His hands were trembling slightly, and he smelled sour, like mildew and sweat that had been baked in the sun. "Got a little camp of my own about a 1/4 mile that way," he said, pointing behind him. "Got beer too, if y'all want to come join me." He said it casually, too casually. Eli spoke up, trying to diffuse the weird tension. "Appreciate it, but we're probably calling it soon. Big hike tomorrow." The guy didn't move. He just stood there smiling, that twitchy, uncomfortable smile. "You sure?" he said again. "I got plenty. Cold, too." I remember looking at his backpack, half-zipped and sagging. No cooler, no tent straps, just nothing. Jake stood up, slow but firm. "Yeah, man, we're good here." That's when the guy's smile finally dropped. He stared at us, eyes dull. Then without a word, he turned and walked back toward the trees. Didn't say goodbye, didn't look back, just disappeared into the dark. None of us spoke for a full minute. Then Marcus said, "He didn't have a flashlight." Eli nodded. "Or a campfire. We'd have seen it." We sat there, silent, listening to the woods around us. The fire popped, and somewhere in the distance a branch cracked. We didn't sleep much that night, kept the fire going in shifts. Every twig snap felt like footsteps. The next morning, we packed up early, didn't even finish breakfast. And as we were leaving, I walked toward the direction that man came from. There was no trail, no sign of a camp, no footprints, just dense brush and silence. I don't know what he wanted. I don't know why he approached us like that. But the way he smiled, like he already knew something we didn't. We weren't going to find out.